Several times I've been asked, Brad, if there's one piece of advice you could give me to improve my mobile photography, what would that be? And without hesitation, the first thing I always tell anyone is don't use your flash. I can hear you right now. You're saying, hey, I need that flash to brighten up the scene, or I just leave it in automatic mode and let my camera decide. Doesn't it know better than I do? No, it doesn't know better than you do. And in fact, it doesn't always know better than itself. What does that mean? When should you use the flash? When should you not use the flash? That's what we're going to talk about today. I highly recommend that right now you go into the camera settings on your phone and you turn off your flash. Don't leave it on and don't leave it in automatic mode. Turn it off completely. I don't care if your phone is brand new or if it's 5 years old, turn off that flash. Turn it on when you do need it in the few situations where it's useful, but leave it off the rest of the time. The first thing we're going to talk about is the fact that the flash doesn't reach very far. If you have a really good flash on your smartphone, you're going to be lucky if it reaches 10 feet. It's probably not even going to do that, and at its furthest distance, it's going to be very weak. So if you're at a concert or your friends are standing way off down the road, that flash is going to do absolutely nothing for you. All it's going to do is brighten up some of the scene around you, maybe enhance some dust particles in the air or the back of someone's shirt here or a pole or anything that's between you and the subject, and add this brightness that you just don't want. So unless your subject is really close, the flash is going to do absolutely nothing for you. Not too long ago, I went to an outdoor light exhibit. Lots of awesome things to look at, lots of cool lights. But one of the things that was going on was there's so many people taking pictures of the lights with their flash on. Now, I'm sure the phone was in automatic mode for the flash and it was just kind of coming on. They weren't purposely turning it on, but they were ruining their pictures, absolutely ruining them. For one, as we already talked about, the flash doesn't go very far, 10 feet at most, more like 6 to 8 feet in a variety of cases. So when you're standing 20, 30 feet away from something and you use the flash, it's useless, absolutely useless. And in fact, it's going to make the area right around you a little bit brighter and the object you're trying to get darker. So you don't want to use a flash in that situation. And in this case, it was even worse because there's all of these really gorgeous light exhibitions, all these really cool things that are around there, and that flash kills the light. You've got this really bright light, and that drains out the vibrancy of all these lights that are around. So if you're going to go around this holiday season and take pictures of Christmas lights, turn off your flash. Something else that so many people are guilty of is using their flash when they're taking a picture through glass, like through a window, through a car window, or through a building window, or something like that. And that is not useful at all. All that does is reflect off the glass and come back, and you're left with this really bright kind of blur. You might be lucky and get a little bit of something out of it, but for the most part, it's just going to completely ruin your picture. But these are things that most people probably know. You know that light reflects off of glass or mirrors, so maybe you don't do that, but you say, hey, Brad, it's a little too dark. I need the flash to brighten up the picture. I'm not going to be able to see it. Well, if you have a recent smartphone from the past 5 years even, there's a good chance that you're going to be able to take a pretty decent picture to a great picture without using your flash. Several phones from the past few years have some sort of night mode. It might be called night sight, night mode, but at the end of the day, they all do pretty much the same thing. They take multiple pictures at several different exposures and stitch it all together in order to bring up the brightness without having a ton of noise and so that you can see what you're looking at. Google was one of the first to really bring this to the masses with the night sight mode, and it's been phenomenal. And it's been great to see everybody else follow suit from Samsung to Apple and add these modes in. If you have an iPhone, it's really easy. You don't even have to think about it. If the phone thinks night mode is needed, it turns on and it activates. This is great in most situations, but not always. Sometimes you actually want to turn it on or turn it off. That's one of the things that I like on a lot of Android phones is the ability to go into a dedicated night mode. Because night mode isn't always just for when it's dark. Sometimes it can be incredibly useful to use when you've still got some light, but you want to bring out the shadows a little bit more without getting noise. I actually use night mode fairly often on some of my Android phones, even if there's a lot of light. Think about it from this perspective. Your dog is curled up in a super cute position. but there's a little bit of a shadow going on. It might be a little hard to see when you just take the normal picture. You can switch it over to night mode and you're going to bring that up and maintain that sharpness. Now, I know that one of the annoying things about night mode is having to hold as still as possible, but that doesn't just apply to night mode. That would apply to using a flash as well. The types of flashes that we have on smartphones aren't good for motion. So if it's kind of dark and you're using a flash and somebody moves, it's going to be blurry. If you move, it's going to be blurry. So blur is something that you always have to think about when you're taking shots in low light. As we already mentioned, flash is not good for motion. So it's the sort of thing that you're not going to miss a moment because you didn't have your flash on most of the time. And that's important. You don't want to miss a really good opportunity to take a picture that you're really going to want to have. But there's always a delay with a flash. Like, for instance, I've got my phone set up here and I've got a remote trigger. I'll tell you when I push the button and you'll see when the flash actually starts and how long it takes for the flash to go off. So right now I'm going to click the button for the flash. You see how long that took? That flash was on for quite a while and the picture didn't actually take until right at the end of it. So if you're trying to capture a fleeting moment, the flash cannot be trusted. You don't know how long it's going to take for it to actually go off. One of the reasons for that is your camera is trying to analyze the scene. It's trying to tell how much darkness there is to know how long to have the flash on, what the other settings for your phone should be. And that's great. I mean, it's really cool that it can do that, but it just takes too long. You're more likely to get that fleeting moment if your flash is off. So you might be sitting there thinking, is there any time that I should use my flash? And the answer is yes, absolutely. It's there for a reason, and it's useful in certain scenarios. Now, everything we've been talking about so far refers to the flash on the rear of the phone with your main camera, the real flash. Most smartphones do not have a real flash, on the front of the phone. The flash that's used for selfies is just brightening up the screen. This is a little bit different than the flash on the rear. It's not as bad because it's little more than a light that's not nearly as bright, and it has a little bit of variation in color temperature. So if you're trying to take a selfie and it's really dark, try night mode first. But if you don't like night mode, or you think that you just kind of want to accentuate some certain features and shadows and do things in a different way, using the flash on the selfie camera most of the time is going to be fine. But give it a try both ways. One scenario in which a flash can be useful is if there's a lot of variations in light, like strobe lights. Let's say you're at a club, you're at a bar, you're out with your friends. You want to take a picture with your friends. They're not too far away. Everybody's pretty close. You're within that 8-foot range of the phone. That's a situation in which the flash does make a little bit more sense. I also know from talking with my fiance and several other people that wear makeup. I'm not one of them, so I don't really know, but a lot of people wear makeup. They like the look that a flash gives. It bounces off the makeup, it accentuates the makeup. You can see it a lot better than you can with night sight. That's a perfectly valid reason for using a flash. If you're trying to highlight certain features that night sight are not going to draw out, and it's not going to do a good job really showing off what your makeup is, whether that is regular makeup for going out, Halloween makeup, or anything like that, a flash can do a better job of kind of showing that off. But when we start talking about video, things change. The flash is not used in the same way. It's not just that quick, bright flash, boom, and it's done. Whenever it's done, see, you don't know when it's going to finish. It's used as a light, not just as a quick light that just kind of brightens things up and goes away. It's a steady light. It's on all the time so that you can see what's happening. And that can be very useful when it's dark. So what's my advice? Turn your flash off. Right now, if you haven't already done it, go in there, turn it off. When you need it, turn it on. You'll know, you'll be able to tell. You'll take that picture with night sight or without night sight, whatever the case may be. You'll review it and you'll be like, we really need a flash. Only turn it on when you know you're going to need it or you think it's really going to add to the scene, because most of the time, it simply won't. But there is one thing that your flash is perfect for every single time, and that's using it as a flashlight. That is the best use by far for the flash on your phone. This is Brad with Mobile Shutterbug. Thanks for watching. What do you think about the flash? Are there other scenarios in which you use it? Do you think maybe I'm completely off base by saying turn your flash off? Please let us know in the comments below. Let's have a conversation, because I'm sure there are other possibilities that I've not even thought of that would be helpful or useful when it comes to a flash. So comment below. If you liked the video, click that thumbs up button and subscribe if you're interested in seeing more from Mobile Shutterbug in the future.